Good evening, and welcome to this week's episode of Sounds of the Diaspora, Artist to Artist, a conversation with yours truly, Dion Parson. It's a pleasure to be here with you, and I'm really excited about this week's guest, someone that I've known for a while, and he's amazing pianist, composer, producer, entrepreneur, and all-around established musician. He resides in the Washington, D.C. area, and he's doing great things down there as an educator, performer, and he'll tell you his story. Please join me in welcoming the one and only Mr. Marcus Johnson.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, Marcus, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. Glad to be with you this morning.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. First of all, I know you're extremely busy. We've been trying to pull this together all for a while. So thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and join us. I always have to say that because I know everybody's time is valuable, and you have so many irons in the fires. I want to talk about that, but I just want to thank you first for being here, man. It's just really good to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, sir. So you're down in the D.C. area, and you have a lot of things going on. I know you're performing a lot. You have your regular band, and you're doing a lot of things, but you're also teaching, and you teach at Howard University as well, correct?
Yes, I'm teaching the Intro to Entertainment Law and Business out of the School of Fine Arts, if you can believe that, at Howard University.
And entertainment law. Not too many people as musicians, most musicians don't even think that they need a lawyer. They don't even think of that side of the business. What's that about?
So it's really interesting. I had one of my buddies who is a top attorney, actually James Walker, who just represented Isaac Hayes 3 and the case as it related to his father's song and the Trump campaign, et cetera, et cetera. And so he came in and we had this discussion with our students about what entertainment law is. And it was everything from estate planning to tax planning to business, corporate structure, types of law, getting into the idea of things in family law. Sometimes in the wrong cases, you look at things like Young Thug on the rap side of things, and you're getting into criminal law. So I used to think that a general practitioner was actually the broadest based type of lawyer. And I changed that now. I think that entertainment lawyers who represent artists and their interests are the most broad based. And it's based in the fact that intellectual property is the original type of property that you have. If you look at even going back to the United States Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, with the patent and copyright clause or copyright and patent clause, it's the idea that we were given these limited monopolies on our music. And when I say limited, it is you have the full use of what you register for your life plus a certain amount of years. So
right.
In order to promote the arts and sciences. And we just don't think about that in the arts field because everybody's worried about what notes they can play, what riffs they can play. And that's great. But I know a lot of really talented people who are sitting at home for one reason or the other, either lacking the business development skills or being in situations where they've gotten into deals where they've leveraged away all of their assets. And it is incumbent upon us to change that paradigm of how musicians think.
Right. And so dealing with intellectual properties, just let our audience know specifically what that is, because I've had students come to me and say, okay, I copyright a song, and so what do I do from there? And what do I own versus what don't I own? So let them know what that particularly, what that means.
Yeah, it's US 17 US. I think it's section 108 and through or 105 through 108, and it talks about and I need to check that, but it talks about the actual rights that you get with copyright registration and ownership. And that is just one form of intellectual property. So you have trademark, copyright, and you have patent. And so dealing with musicians specifically, it allows you to take your work, your oral work and the composition, put it into a fixed intangible form and register it. So when you leave a store, you have receipt. That is actually a title of you switching ownership of, say, my phone from Verizon to me. Your copyright and the registration is your receipt of, I have taken this thing out of the ether of the world, put it onto a fixed intangible form. And now with my registration, I have receipt that I have ownership with it. And then out of that, you have certain rights, for right to first publication, the right to distribution, the right to, these things that are all the mechanical rights, the right to receive money for each use of your particular registered copyright. And I keep saying registered because none of that fake, send it to your mama, send it to yourself with a stamp on it to your, address. None of that works. The only way to have what is a prima facie case of, prima facie case of copyright infringement is that it must be registered. The right to duplicate, you have that right to duplicate it, distribution, publication, and the licensing that is affiliated with that. Now, in the latter years, that was the original copyright. And with the creation of the music industry, you have the C in the circle. Now you have the P in the circle. If you look at the end or the back of, CD covers or websites that they talk about the music. And so now with digital streaming, you have another right. And that is the right to the ownership in the underlying master recording, which is then exploited. And it's the same rights, but, applied to Pandora, which is distinguished from YouTube, which is distinguished from what goes on at Spotify. And that's why you have different royalty rates amongst those different types of companies. But then, getting down the line of working with Sound Exchange so that you get the royalties for feature performer as well as the owner of the actual sound recording.
Right.
And if that sounds like a lot, it is. But this is your business.
It is, but I want to just kind of go back a little bit, because when you talk about the digital and the other type of rights that you have there, the P versus the C. The P is the publishing, and
no, well, it's the underlying composition, right? So that
has to be registered as well. That has to be registered as well in order for you to track that.
No, they both come under when you go to the copyright office and you register your work, you get both. You have to put people on notice then that, hey, look, I have this is registered at this date by me. And therefore I have these rights, both in the underlying composition, which gives you those distribution and exploitation rights in the kind of physical terrestrial world, if you may, radio, et cetera. And then now in the new digital world, the fact that you then have a right in the underlying, the underlying recording. So there's the song.
So I'm just saying, how do you track that to the publishing? I'm just trying to get to the publishing component of it, because that's where a lot of people miss. Also, there's a lot of artists that create songs and they don't deal with BMI or ASCAP, and So is that part of what you're saying? That's how do we connect that portion? So
on the terrestrial side, because again, Dion, you're separating publishing like it's different. It's not.
No. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to talk about it because it wasn't mentioned, and a lot of people don't publish their works. That's what I'm saying. They'll go on copyright, but they never publish their works because they miss that side of things.
Yeah, so you actually then can register your works with your performing rights organization.
Right.
So like BMI, ASCAP, CSAC.
Right.
For radio, right? So and again, that's terrestrial radio. But then you have these publishing rights on Sound Exchange
Right.
as well, that you would register with Sound Exchange. Then there's Song Trust. You know, we talked about the Mechanical Licensing Collective, and you know, where these digital technologies allow you to track your plays and performances and the like. And so it is incumbent upon you to make sure, once you know, if you are putting your music out for radio airplay and you release it and it's on Spotify, that you can work with your DSPs or your your aggregators like CD Baby or a DistroKid or, you know, a TuneCore or Symphonic, where they actually have parts of it that allow you to click a box and they'll track that for you until you can get, you know, to a point where you maybe bring on somebody or you sign a publishing deal with somebody where
Right.
you're getting money for these mechanical royalties as well as streaming royalties now,
Right.
as
Right.
well as terrestrial radio for
That's
however
right.
long that lasts, and Sirius XM radio.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you have those satellite radio royalties, which right now are the highest of all of them. It's like the grand prize if you can
Right.
get some airplay there.
Yeah. Well, so it's really interesting because, again, you've opened up, you've said a lot, but you open up a lot of doors. So how does a young musician, somebody's coming along, they're studying all the tunes, you know, all the things you are, my shining hour, they doing everything they need to do, even on the classical side. How do they get involved with this? Because this is not something that's taught in the average conservatory or even college as you pursue in a music degree. How does one go about starting to check this out or even get familiar with this?
One, you really have to be committed to being successful in business and understanding that when you make your decision to pay your lights and your car note, and your student loans and the food, by playing music, that you're no longer doing this just as an art form,
Right.
that you're in business. And I think that for the longest time, musicians have been brainwashed. And I use that term because I mean it in its derogatory nature. We've been brainwashed out of pursuing an understanding of the business of the CEO of ourselves. Right? You have to come to grips with, you're a business person.
Right.
And I see a lot of teachers hearing this and cringing in their seats. And a lot of it is because they don't know it.
They don't know
And
yet.
therefore, I'm going to teach you how to play as best as you can. But it's like Coca-Cola in the first day of my marketing class. It's the most recognizable brand in the world, right? But if I don't know that you exist, I don't know that your store sells it, then I don't know to go to Costco to get it. I don't know to go to a, you know, Publix and get it. I don't know to go to a Whole Foods to get it. So they have to market that we have this product. And it's very much the same thing as it relates to being a musician and saying, I believe in me as a business brand, and this is what I'm going to do to make a living. Therefore, I need to make the nexus between my consumers and the businesses to do so. So what do? Get as many books as you can. Listen to the podcasts like yours that are out there bringing guests like me that, you know, you can then follow up with at Marcus Johnson 360 when you need to, on social. Then, you know, you listen to our podcast. You go to YouTube and look at music business and try to get as best a mentor as you can. And that may mean, if you're in college, going to the business school, minoring in business, you know. But what I did a thing with Gerald Beasley in Philly for Jazz Philly last week. And what I told him is, if you're practicing, you know, Bach Invention number 4, which I'm doing right now, you're trying to come up with the different arrangements of Someday My Prince Will Come, as I'm doing right now. Then you have the urban stuff that I'm doing and playing, the, you know, 7 performances that I had in the last 4 days. You know, then you have to take an hour out a day to check on your music. Are you checking on your royalties? Are you taking 15 minutes to understand what copyright is? Are you, you know, signing up with your local music association? You know, a lot of the major cities in the United States in particular, they have volunteer lawyers associations where you can go in and talk to a lawyer for free. And you just have to fill out the application. These are kind of, these major firms give people pro bono, and you got to find the way. So whether
Yeah.
it's books, whether it's podcasts, whether it's getting a mentorship, whether it's minoring in, and you want to take an accredited class as much as possible, but so long as you really understand the basics of business, you can't do yourself wrong, but you have to put it in your daily schedule like eating.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's that important. I'm gonna eat breakfast, and then I'm gonna work on my business plan and my vision board for where I'm going, not where I want to be, where I'm going.
Hmm.
And then I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna practice and watch what happens.
And I'm glad you're saying that, because this is a conversation I've had as an artist myself, coming to New York and trying to sit down and figure out, like, how do I get to the next level? And there's two levels. There's a level as an artist being proficient in your craft, but there's a level as a, like you say, you have to be your own CEO, but you're also your own product. So you have to be you're the product. You're the product, and you have to invest in being a proficient product, but you also have to be aware of what it takes to be out here as an entrepreneur, because that's really what we are as artists. We're presenting ourselves in a business and not really understanding the business itself. And a lot of times, not too many people talk about. So when did you decide as an artist, because you're growing up, you're young Marcus Johnson, studying piano, playing these gigs. When did you decide it, for yourself? When did you make that decision, like, hey, I'm gonna take control. I'm gonna be the captain of my soul, the master of my ship. The master of my soul, the captain of my ship. However you want to put
Get
it.
on Kipling.
When did you decide that? Because you're one of the few people, really, that. Well, I know a lot of cats that have that under control, and they're working at it. And that's a conversation we're having. But you have made, not only in music, but you've ventured off as an entrepreneur in other businesses. So when did you make that decision to do that?
As you're saying that, I've always been an entrepreneur, and I was 12 years old. I had a car washing business,
Okay.
and I was making money that way. I was the guy that was like, I'm gonna take my girlfriend and get her the cookie and the punch in my public school. You know what I mean?
Right.
We didn't have a super lunch. We could get a baked potato that was stuffed, or you could
Right.
get some cookies. I'm like, girl, you want a cookie? Here's a big cookie for you.
Right.
But the way to do that wasn't to ask my dad for money or for my
Right.
mom for money. It was the idea of, I'm going to have my own,
Right.
and then when we got to high school and could go to McDonald's for lunch. Wait, you all went to McDonald's? Yeah, you want to come? So you talk about the idea of making the decision to be the captain of your soul, right? The master of your fate. Rudyard Kipling, right? So when you look at that, I think that's Invictus. When you put
Invictus,
that
yeah.
together, right? Um, uh, it's kind of, it started out honestly in my family. People ask me, what is the key to your success? Man, I thank God and the universe every day for making me, manifesting me through Roosevelt, Johnson, and Willa. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then having my stepmom and my stepdad, and then they were all professional doctors, et cetera, et cetera. Then my brothers and sisters are all doctors and lawyers themselves, or MBAs, and successful business people. So I always had, make sure you understand the business, make sure you understand the business all around me. Growing up in a Jewish neighborhood, everybody was an entrepreneur there, right?
Right.
So it was looking at business people doing great things in science and early computer folk and all that kind of stuff, right? Then in music, it was like, well, you should just play. And I'm like, but there's a whole business behind this. And then I understood and heard these horror stories about like people who had been taken advantage of, especially coming in the beginning of jazz, the Billie Holidays. And,
Hmm.
there's some unscrupulous people out there that would
Hmm.
give you drugs to take your mind off of the fact that they were screwing you.
Right.
And that is kind of the music industry, how it has been, and how kind of many ways it continues to be,
Hmm.
because I lure you in with the prospect of stardom and fame and money. And, then you end up on the other side of it where you're like, well, I did everything I was supposed to do. Somebody's making money in what I'm doing.
Right.
So I was 18. I had a demo deal with Blue Note, and it wasn't converted into a long-term recording agreement, and I was upset because I really didn't understand what was going on. And coming out of the music engineering and technology program at Miami, before I went to Howard, I saw that there was something different. And I said, I will never be in this position again. And I got back. I was a sophomore going into my junior year. And I went to Crown Books, which doesn't exist anymore, and got every LSAT book in the store. And I made a commitment to myself that I was going to read it from the copyright and publishing pages all the way to the last page of definitions. And I would do each of these books twice. And I literally started at the cover. I made notes and signed each page of it twice. Going through, I knew which copyright date it was, to the introduction, to the, understanding, Barron's, Arco, all these other books. And that's what got me, into law school and making the commitment to do that. But part of it is coming from the family that I did. No one had gone to law school at the time, but your environment is very important. And I talk about this in my whole deeper model of my book and stuff. And it's like, you have to know that it's possible for a piano player someone who majored in getting a bachelor's in music to actually be able to go on to a top, law school in the world like Georgetown, and business school in the world like Georgetown. You have to know that that is open to you. And if you don't, then you feel stuck. And again, I go back to the conferences that we need to have in our music education, that it is not separate. Music business and the pedagogical studies of music are not separate.
It's not, yeah.
Right? they are symbiotic at least, you know what I mean? Because one dies without the other. You can't have the music business without the art form, without the creativity, without the technicians. But you can't have success unless you understand the core concepts of the structure of the music business, the structure of ownership, the structure of entrepreneurship, and the structure of marketing, so that you can make sure that you exploit what you're doing versus being exploited.
Right.
And so I thank you for having your podcast to be able to let people know that there's a thing called the law school admissions test. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the GMAT, right? So it's like these things like, and yes, you can be a piano player. I got a bachelor's in music. I was actually upset because I thought I was getting a bachelor in fine arts. I got a bachelor in music, in piano, right? So I was like, am I going to be able to even get into a law school like this? I was like, yes, I will. And let me go do this. And I got in.
Yeah.
And these are the things you can too. Whoever's watching this, you can too. And if you're a teacher that feels very insecure because you don't know what I'm talking about, call us so that we can help you, because we need to stop sending our musicians out here to the slaughterhouse.
Right. Unprepared.
Slaughterhouse.
Unprepared. Yeah. Not
slaughterhouse. They're getting slaughtered out here, man. And we need to talk in real terms. How do you make money at this? Well, imagine this. Imagine if you're making $100 a gig and you're gigging 7 days a week, right? And then you multiply that by 50. It's not a whole bunch of money, but that is a start. Then what can you do to get that up to $250 a night, 7 days a week? Wait a minute. Now we're starting to approach 70 grand a year. What if we can get that to $300, now 4 days a week, but then I have time with my family and to be able to take care of myself and to do my business? Then we're still at the $70,000 mark. But wait, what if I can get $1,500 to $2,000 a week, $3,000 a week, and understanding the numbers behind that? It's math. It is simple multiplication. Right.
And that math doesn't only comes from performing, it comes from other things that once you record and again, residual incomes and other things like that. Hey, Marcus, I'm sitting here smiling because you and I have had this conversation many times over, and I was one of those musicians that got thrown into the slaughterhouse. But luckily, some of the folks that, I met along the way hit me and say, hey, guy, you've been out here for a while running around. You should be on this level. Why aren't you at that level? Let's have a conversation. And they sat me down, and I had to write out everything I was doing every day, on an hourly basis. And it's like, okay, look at where you're spending your time. Look at where you're spending your money. How do we change that? And that's what happened for me. I just had a couple people that just pulled me aside and just sat me down and said, okay, you're doing the right things. You're practicing hard. You have great gigs, but, how are you spending your money? What's your next step? What do you want? And once I started writing those goals down, they started to manifest. I mean, it was that simple because I was thinking about them every day. And my mentors, like you mentioned, mentors. You need someone out there that have been through it that can help guide you. And you needed information. So the books, I started reading books, the power of positive thinking, Think and Grow Rich, the habits of the 7 habits of highly effective people, all of those things. Folks just people will come to my gigs and, hey man, I saw you reading this last week when we were, here's another book for you. I mean, literally, that's how it was happening. And all of these things just started on a positive level. And I was like, wow, I was so misinformed all along because I was just taught to practice your rudiments, go play the gig. That was it.
And again, it is a very uncomfortable feeling for teachers and professors and those that are in academics to step back and say, I don't know.
Because they haven't been there. That's the thing. Marcus, when I was about to graduate from Rutgers as an undergraduate with a music education degree, I sat with my advisor and the dean of the school. I did my student teaching at Newark Arts High and in Princeton. My high school was at Newark Arts High, and my elementary and junior level was in Princeton County. And I had like 13 job offers. There was like, you could pick wherever you want to go. You're the top tier, student about to graduate. You can pick wherever you want to go in the state of New Jersey. These are the job offers waiting for you. And I turned them all down.
Yeah.
And they looked at me and it was like, why would you turn them down? I said, because I haven't done anything. I just have a degree. I have no experience. How can I teach someone to do a recording if I haven't done it? How can I teach someone to play in a symphony orchestra if I haven't done it? How I can, and that was my response. And they looked at me and they said, wow, you're the first student that ever said that to us. Because that's how I felt. I didn't know anything. I just knew what I learned. And I had to put it to the test. I had to go out there and be a professional musician and put it to the test before I could come and teach someone. Because I believe, yes, you need the information, you need that book knowledge, but if you don't have the personal experience,
slaughterhouse. You're sending your kids to the slaughterhouse.
Yeah, exactly.
Man,
exactly.
And we deal with it all the time, especially in academics. When you're talking about like tenure, and you're talking about what constitutes tenure, and it's an interesting conversation where let's say I might entertain a professorial position. I'm an adjunct lecturer right now, and I do that because it's a responsibility, because honestly, I lose money every time I get in my car to sit in traffic to go and teach. I'm losing dollars, but for me, seating back into the community is that much, right? And it means so much to me. But I look at the fact of how many businesses that I've started, companies that I've been able to get funded, multi-million-dollar deals that I've done, national distribution in wine, national distribution in music, international distribution in music, working on my 24th record, et cetera, et cetera. And you tell me that somebody and I have a JD, a Juris Doctorate, and an MBA, and was a law fellow, and have received the highest awards, from Georgetown University that you can get as an alumni. And you mean to tell me because you have an education PhD that I can't compete with you for a tenured position because I didn't go this way? Well, let me see if I can make it in your world as a teacher. And let's see whether or not you can make it in my world as an entrepreneur. Let's see. Yeah. You tell me, and I can guarantee you with 90% confidence what's going to happen. And that's not to say that that's not valuable. But what it is to say is that the experience is just as valuable to these students. And if you
The
don't have
experience is what counts eventually, because I mean, from an academic standpoint, that how should I say, that whole process of becoming a tenure position, that's like a tradition. That's something that's been set up for a while, and that's just for somebody that decide they want to be a teacher for the rest of their lives. As an entrepreneur,
but teaching what?
but that's what I'm saying. As an entrepreneur, you're out here living it every day, breathing it, learning from it. Because remember how we started this conversation before we even came on about the new platform, digital and downstream.
Yes.
And when, you know, some institutions don't even function on that level because they're not dealing with the day-to-day, experiences and changes. That's what we're dealing with as artists. And that's why, we're out here doing what we're doing. Not everybody has that,
Man.
you know what I'm saying. But hey, look, Marcus, we could go on and on, man.
Absolutely.
I really want to get to some of your music, because the artistic side of you is, I know both sides, and we started off pretty heavy, just jumping right into the business side of things, which is needed. But I want our audience to get to know you as an artist as well, because that's the thing that I love, man. You and I can sit down and just cut it up and just get to the nitty gritty of what's really happening out here. But then you could go on stage and just be creative and just, I want to share that side of you. We good on that?
Let's do it, brother. Let's do it.
But I'm gonna have you back, man. I'm gonna have you back on a show where we just talk about this, because this is needed, man. Like you said, it's too many of our folks that just get sent off to the slaughterhouse and they don't make it. They just disappear. A lot of talent just disappear because they're unprepared. So you're doing a great thing with your teachings and your students, and and the friendships that you've created, and me included. I've called you for advice, so but like I said,
but and vice versa, right? And
right.
And the thing is, we need to be at those levels. If we're not thinking in hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars as musicians,
Right.
even on a smaller scale, then we're not thinking about it. If I had told you 10 years ago that there would be a company called Spotify that is worth $80 billion that would be responsible for the distribution and discovery of music around the world, $80 billion, you would have looked at me and laughed. People at Warner Brothers would have been like, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
And when I clerked at Universal back in 1993, and I'm like, this is going to change things, guys. The fact that you have this digital stuff and et cetera, there's a way to aggregate this stuff with digital copies and then to get it with broadband this way, et cetera, when they were first rolling it out. Oh, you're stupid. There'll never be lossless this. Now, what is Spotify worth?
Yeah.
$80 billion, bro.
Yeah. The industry never adjusted with the change. They really didn't see it, and they just felt that, hey, this platform that we have is the only platform. And I think that's part of the challenge that a lot of musicians have, because they grew up seeing one thing and saying, this is what I'm working towards, and I'm going to make my records and it's going to get airplay. And airplay is not the way it is anymore.
And one last thing, and I'll leave the business alone, and I would love to do this. And we should have a question answer. I would love to set that back up. Mm-hmm. Once a month, if you want to do something like that on another, however you want to do it, right?
Okay.
There are 100,000 songs released on the digital platforms every day.
Wow. I didn't know that.
100,000. Okay. So about you getting airplay and getting through the noise, that's some of the stuff we were talking about last week in Jazz Philly. Call me up. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. There are ways to do it, but that's how your scales. So 100,000. Imagine if 1,000 of those, 10,000 of those, let's say, are jazz, right? Let's say that a day. That means that there are people who went to Juilliard, that went to Miami, that went to North Texas, that went to your program at USVI, that went to Howard, that went to, USC, that went to UCLA, that went to Berkeley, that went to, you hear what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Right? Okay, that's just in the United States. So your scales and the way that you play your arrangement alone is going to get you above those, call it 5,000 a day.
Right.
call us up so we can work with you, so we can tell you how to get your piece of the pie. But it is not in playing 2-5-1 changes with, different altered this, that, the other within this mode. That alone is not going to do it for you. But there is a way. And I'm glad you have your show, brother.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for being on the show. Like I said, man, we've been going at it for a minute trying to get you here. Your information is vital. It's needed. It's needed, man. So yeah, we're gonna spin off something out of this. One of the things that I'm putting it out there. Well, like we have different episodes from different projects that I've been, not projects, topics. And I would love to create one with you, just covering the music business, because a lot of folks need this information. So we'll talk offline about you coming back and doing a couple other episodes with specifics, because I know we're gonna get some questions, a lot of questions.
I'm down. It's my responsibility. I'm down.
Yeah. Cool. Well, you're doing a great job, man. But as an artist, Marcus Johnson, the artist, you're acclaimed piano player, composer. You have a great ensemble. You're playing everywhere, and you have, like you said, 26 recordings out. 23 recordings out, and beautiful music. And you're just super busy. Our first song, I mean, I could tell the passion that you have. The first song that you shared with us is a song called "Love," and let me play it first, and then we're gonna jump back in. You could talk about the personnel and all of that, but let's get to the music right away, so the artist can hear the music behind this great mind. Let's check it out. "Love."
All you ever all you'll ever need, girl. Just trust in me. I'm gonna show you, girl. I'm all you'll ever need, baby. Yeah. Give him some, Marcus. Best to you, just trust in me, girl. I know you're digging me.
That was Love by the one and only Marcus Johnson on the album Phoenix. Yeah, beautiful. Man, you gotta wait till the end to get the piano solo.
Well, I wrote the song, so it's like for me, it's that was a thing in a relationship that I was in, and I was just doing everything I could as a hopeless romantic to let this woman know, like, I don't care. It's love. You know what I mean? What must I do?
Right.
To make you secure that I'm what you need, right? I'll give my best to you. Just trust in me, right? Mm-hmm. So the piano solo, yes. On that particular song, yeah, but it's all Marcus. Yeah. And, being able to work with Frank McComb on that as well was, part of a dream come true and an honor. He's a buddy of mine. And we had our studio in Silver Spring at the time. And I let him go in with the producer, Marvin, Tony Hemmings out of Orlando, and killed it. And I came back in. I was like, you do it. I want to let you do what Frank does. Hear the reins. I'll be back. I came back. It's like an hour, and it was like done. And I was like, this is awesome. So, yeah.
Yeah, who's the vocalist?
Frank McComb.
Right, the vocalist. That's okay, yeah.
Yeah, so
that's great, man. So your style as a jazz pianist leans a lot towards smooth jazz as well, but you cover a lot of. I'm not trying to pigeonhole you, but I'm just saying that particular track and that album leans towards that. But you cover a lot of different genres because you have some other things that we're going to share. But how do you present yourself? What do you think your strong point as a performer is?
An awesome freaking experience. I mean, I play piano.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem with why traditional jazz is where it is as it relates to market share is because certain people have used it and defined it in a way that supports them, but not the genre. So you don't get new people in that ordinarily might be in because they don't come out to the concerts to experience it. I had somebody that came out to Keystone Corner in Baltimore on Friday and was like, I am not a jazz person, I thought. But the way you played and the experience you played and the way that you had the old school mixed with the new, I am a Marcus Johnson fan.
Right.
So, I studied under Jerry Allen at Howard and Vince Maggio down at University of Miami, right? So it's like, do I know how to play changes? Do I know how to play rhythm changes? I sure do. Did I grow up with that? I didn't. And am I going to deny what I grew up with in DC and go-go and hip-hop and urban? No, and I don't have to. But you'll hear some other stuff where as we do Mas Que Nada and we're playing, we're literally a trio taking some of what we do and we turn it into a Latin fusion / straight ahead kind of vibe. That's it. It's all on board. Can't do the same thing over and 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 expect something different. Got to switch it up a little bit. To be special and different, you have to be special and different. So
I like that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, it's like so. What kind of piano player am I? Hopefully, a good one. To you, I love what I do.
Definitely
have fun.
Definitely, and it shows. It shows all around, and it you can definitely hear it in your playing, your enthusiasm for playing, and what you bring to the bandstand. And that's why I want our audience to, understand the two sides are, it's one person, but, you bring two different great elements to the table from a performance standpoint and also from a business and entrepreneurial standpoint. So, and it shows in your playing, right? So I want to move on to our next song, which is a song that you shared, and it's called Anytime, Any Place. And it's from your Ballads album.
Yes, sir.
You went through a romantic period there, didn't you?
I found that I love playing, and I love playing everything. As I'm back, I'm taking piano lessons again. I just started 2 months ago. And as I go back through and relearn Bach and go into new Bach pieces and Chopin, I love that stuff. But I went through a very hard time in my life where I ended up in the hospital right before a show and had to cancel the show in Atlanta because it was too much. I was the super kid going through too much. I had just buried a friend. I was dealing with, the challenges of being a co-parent, and was exhausted. And I stood up one day and thought I was dying. I thought I was having a stroke like my mom did, because that's always in the back of my head. Mm-hmm. And after that, and having a panic attack and an anxiety attack, I made a commitment to myself to rest, to eat well. And then having parents that are therapists, both are psychologists, I was like, it's time for me to get some therapy. And out of that, I learned that my voice, because the name of the CD is Ballads in My Voice. In My Voice. And that's because I realized that my voice, man, when I get a ballad, ladies, watch out.
Well, let's check it out. Anytime, Any Place. Marcus Johnson. Anytime, any place. Marcus, I hear you. Like you said, the ladies, watch out. Do your thing, man. Do your thing. It's different than love, but it's along the same vibe of of the road that you're traveling musically, which is which tells your story, and that's part of what I wanted our audience to hear. I keep referring to the audience because I get a lot of comments afterwards about the show, and sometimes the audience will hear an artist talk and didn't know about their background, and then they hear their recording. It's like, wow, I can, and then they can start putting that story together.
It's our swag,
Yeah.
And different people have different swag, and if you see me in person and you hear my vibe, then you hear my music, you're like, oh, I see, I get it. He's not BSing, you know what I'm saying? If you were on my show, I'd say the full BS, but it's like, no, he's not BSing. That's real. That's some real stuff right there.
No, it's real. It's real. It's real. It's great, man. And I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. I think for me, through all the different shows that I do, I sit back and I just get to enjoy the essence of each artist, because a lot of you guys come in the show and you're my friends, and I know you, and I'm just smiling as your creativity comes out. So
Yep.
I'm having fun with it, man. But the next song you share with us is from the Phoenix album. Again, it's called "Make It Happen."
Yeah, you'll see again the difference. Like, it's so many with 23 records. I was like, where do I go? I'm like, some of the stuff I like, right? And that gives kind of the vibe. I wanted a vocal. I wanted something in the ballads. I wanted something funky. And then where I am now, which is what's coming after this. But yeah, Make It Happen is Fender Rhodes and me having some fun with it.
All right, let's check it out. Make It Happen. Yeah, bro. I like that ending particularly. You know, I like that.
I mean, it's a bebop scale, right?
Mhm.
So or even a harmonic minor scale with some other things in it. I mean, it's what we learn, just
Mhm.
speaking it in a different language.
Exactly. You just put it
Yeah,
on top of the groove,
yeah,
and like you said, that's your swag.
yeah.
I
Little
love
something.
it. I love it. From a musical standpoint, Marcus, you're bringing some great stuff, man, and it's just a pleasure having you on the show. And the next song that you share with us is a completely different twist to all of this, though. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's Mas Que Nada.
Yes, and the original version I did with Mesa, who was with Incognito for a while and is a star in her own right.
Mhm.
And so when we got into quarantine, this comes from the CD Quarantine Sessions.
Mhm.
I started taking lessons again. I went online, found some good lessons on LinkedIn, learning of all places from a guy, I think the guy who wrote the jazz piano book, and started all the way back at the beginning and learning some scales, learning some chords, and then we started, being asked to perform, these online concerts, and had a buddy who had a studio here, and so we went into the studio, his production, what do you call it, the soundstage, and so
Mhm.
we went in. He had a Yamaha grand piano, which I love. I'm a Yamaha artist, and so we started doing these things. And he called me up one day and he's like, "Look, I'm listening to all the stuff we've done over the last year and a half, from 2020 through 2022." And he's like, "Bro, you have an album here, at least an album. This stuff sounds amazing. Come in. I'm gonna put a mix on it. You don't have to pay me if you don't want to, but I want you to listen to it." And I
Mhm.
listened to it, and that was it. I sent it to one of the radio promoters on the traditional jazz side. So this is my first album that I've done that actually made the top 20 of the traditional jazz charts. Took Chucky Caldwell on bass,
Mhm.
Biscuit Bynum on drums, and came up with our own versions of these different songs that we had done and released it under the title Quarantine Sessions.
Okay. Well, this song, Mascanadas, is a Brazilian favorite, and you've put your twist in it, kind of as a take from Sergio Mendes and the Brazil 65 sessions. That's what as soon as I heard it, I was like, wow, it took me back. I
Absolutely.
actually pulled up the Sergio Mendes version and listened to that compared to yours.
And man, and again, it's like even taking the samba version slash bossa nova version of it, and then adding, more of an Afro-Cuban kind of vibe in many
Hmm.
places to it. Like again, it's artistic freedom
Right.
and adding our twist. However, having some fun on the piano.
Oh, yeah. A lot of fun. A lot of fun. Well, we're going to check it out. Mascanada from Quarantine Sessions. Ba-da. Yeah, you're muted, Marcus.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, Mascanada. I like that arrangement.
Thank you,
A lot of
brother.
energy. It's not Brazilian. It has that Latin, Cuban sango vibe on it.
Yes, absolutely. Somewhere in my history, in my ancestors, all of ours. But anyway, going all the way back to that vibe, man. I love that flavor, and my guys love it too. So when we get in the trio vibe, we tend to act stupid. Yes, and have
Yeah,
fun.
well, you acted up. You acted up accordingly, and it's a nice way to wind down the show. You did all your romantic, love stuff, and ended with hard hitting, punching, sounds of the diaspora coming from the Caribbean. So beautiful thing, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it just shows your versatility. Again, thank you, man, from the musical standpoint with the songs that you presented here to share with our audience and the information you shared as well. From an entrepreneur standpoint, from the legal standpoint, talking about the copyrights and all of that. Again, I want to talk to you offline about just coming on and doing a show about that. Because these youngsters out here need to know what the opportunities are. But you're doing great things, Marcus. So continue success to you on all levels of your your various entrepreneurial projects.
Hey, man, and likewise. And it's a pleasure to be able to sit here and talk with you. And I'm going to take a vacation right after the holidays. And the St. Thomas is definitely, you're on St. Croix, but
No, I'm on St. Thomas.
you are St. Thomas? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will definitely see you, brother, because I am going to, it's in my top 2 places that I'm going to go visit. So
Okay.
I think I can make that accommodation, just come down and hang out and just talk.
Yeah, let me know, man. Let's see what we could do. You never know, we might be able to put something together.
Sounds good.
So before you leave, let our audience know how they can follow you on social media or website. Share with them that information.
Absolutely. You can follow me on IG and Facebook at Marcus Johnson 360. So Marcus Johnson 360. And the website is marcusjohnson360.com. If you want to find out about wine, if you put my name in with wine, it'll pop up on Google. But the Marcus Johnson 360, the full comprehensive, brand of everything that is what I do, you can find out as well. So I look forward to it. We're on all streaming platforms, the music. And hey, if you have any questions, let me know. See what I can do to help you out.
Beautiful, man. Thank you again for all that you've shared with us. We look forward to having you back, and continued success to you, my good brother.
Back at you, man. Thank you so much for everything. I appreciate you and everybody that's listening and supporting you. Please continue to do so.
All right. Take care, Marcus.
Much love, brother.
All the best, man. Yes, that was our good friend Marcus Johnson presenting his music and all the wonderful information that he has. As you can tell, he's well informed, man. So we look forward to having him back and sharing some more information with us in the future. But join us next week as we bring to Sounds of the Diaspora my good friend out of Chicago, the one and only guitarist, Mr. Bobby Broom, who will bring some Chicago music and his beautiful soul to the Sounds of the Diaspora. Thanks for joining us. All the best to you guys. Take care.